Hey everyone, my name is Joe Bartle, and I'm going to talk about the three players I love and hate for Week 8. Let's start first with the Washington Commanders, and by default, Terry McLaurin. As of this recording, it appears as if Wonder Kid rookie Jaden Daniels will not play. He was listed as week to week. He didn't practice Wednesday. I think we can read the tea leaves on this one. Now, to be fair, Terry McLaurin did produce with Marcus Mariota when Jaden Daniels was out in Week 7. That was the Panthers, who I'm almost certain would lose to a few college teams at this point. I understand that's a joke. You might get angry in the comments. Fine. Panthers are really bad. We get the point. Unless Marcus Mariota somehow has that surgery from the movie Rookie of the Year where the kid can suddenly throw 105 miles per hour, I have serious doubts that Terry McLaurin can actually benefit in this matchup from a fantasy perspective. The Panthers defense was really bad, but the Bears defense is not. This series pioneered Patrick Surtain being valued as one of the best corners in the league. I know it didn't really, but we were really pushing the issue. Jalen Johnson, cornerback for the cornerback for the Bears, also needs to be considered in that same category. And I could very well see Terry McLaurin being used as a decoy throughout this game if Marcus Mariota is your starting quarterback. You're probably playing Terry McLaurin if you have him, but I value him in the same way that I would say Flowers or Marvin Harrison or Michael Pittman, that wide receiver 2 range. And McLaurin's been playing above that with Jaden Daniels. So downgrade a hate play, if you might call it that, this week. Along the same lines, and this is probably cheating, but I'm going to list Baker Mayfield in the hate section this week. He's quarterback 2 in ESPN scoring right now. Quarterback 2. Yes, Baker didn't have a bye week, and he hasn't been injured, unlike Jordan Love or, I guess, Jaden Daniels, for example, but still, quarterback 2. There's a certain segment of the fantasy community, it's not quite me, that likes Jalen McMillan quite a bit as a rookie out of Washington, and I think Trey Palmer and Sterling Shepard can be quality options. You could do a whole lot worse if you're replacing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with those three. That being said, it's a trio of unheralded or just outright disappointing options in the case of Sterling Shepard as well too among those groups. And I just don't believe Baker Mayfield can produce to that level. Maybe I'm wrong. This is going to be a really good test this week to see what they can do against that Falcons defense, which has been inconsistent, if not just outright bad in certain weeks of the season. And we can look back notably when Baker Mayfield nearly helped that team win against the Falcons on that crazy Thursday night game. I'd rather play Brock Purdy. I'd rather play Geno Smith. I would rather play maybe even Trevor Lawrence over Baker Mayfield. And we can adjust our expectations to come, again, with Chris Godwin out for the season, Mike Evans out at least until week 12, post-bye week for the Buccaneers. I want to see what this offense looks like with this group of unheralded receivers. And as a result, Baker Mayfield is on my hate list for this week. The last player on my hate list is Sam LaPorta. And I'll be honest, this is more of a characteristic flaw of mine, but I am far more interested in talking about the players that have been most disappointing this season. And you could make the case that the tight end position has held that belt for almost the entire year. Throw out the Christian McCaffreys who've been injured since day one. There's been the Mark Andrews conversation. Dalton Kincaid has wrestled away the most disappointing player belt at certain times. There's David Njoku and Evan Ingram when they had their weird injury stints as well too. Yes, I know that was a hypocritical thing after I said ignore the CMC conversation, but whatever. Tight ends have been pretty frustrating, especially if you own some of the top ones outside of maybe Trey McBride or Brock Bowers. Sam LaPorta has taken away that belt, done a victory lap around the ring, and might still be running. Now, maybe Jameson Williams being suspended 2 weeks changes the outcome, but you look at the matchup this week against the Titans, Lions favored by double-digit points. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions comfortably cover, whether it be Mason Rudolph or Will Levis as your starting quarterback. Makes no difference. The Titans stink. And it could be David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs running haywire because that's all they really need to do to win. I would take the under on Jared Goff 24 pass attempts. Like if that's out there right now, I would look at it and I would comfortably say Sam LaPorta is in that range where he might not get a single pass because the Lions are just going to go blitzkrieg over Tennessee. This could be a freezing cold takes thing. Any given Sunday, I know that teams can play well, and maybe it's a look-ahead game for both the Lions and Packers, who play each other week 9 and play bad AFC South teams this week. But still, I would rather play Kyle Pitts. I'd rather play Tucker Kraft. I would rather play Hunter Henry. I'd rather play Cole Kmet. There's a number of tight ends I'd play over Sam LaPorta, who was pretty conventionally a top 2 drafted tight end this year. Crazy to think about. All right, before we talk about the players I love for this week, reminder, folks, we have YouTube content going on every single day, both for football, now basketball, college basketball, gearing up as well too. Tons of different places to get our content. If you could like this video, subscribe, that would be fantastic. Could really use the help emotionally. This boosts my ego, if nothing else. But RotoWire as a whole needs the support too, so please like, subscribe if you can. All right, on to the love list, and it seems as if Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins will play this week. By all indications, it sounds like he'll be out there. not wearing a Guardian cap, but that's a different conversation for a different station or channel. With Tua back in a Mike McDaniel offense, we're going to see the Tyreek Hills, Jalen Waddles of the world look electric. Devon Achane will be back to his normal self. And I think even given the circumstances, he's performed admirably well. I would play Tua as a top 12 quarterback right off the rip. And they're going against the Cardinals defense that has been better than I guess I would assumed, but still not anywhere near the NFL's elite. I think Tua clearly becomes a top 12 play over Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins too. And it's just simply because he's healthy and ready to play. Reminder to folks, he's got to likely be activated off injured reserve. That should occur this week. He's a start in my lineup if I'm considering him as a low-end quarterback. I'm also loving Javonte Williams this week. Now, to be fair, I have said a lot of mean things about the Broncos on this channel, on this recording, on this series. I stand by all of it. Sean Payton annoys me. I hate this offense. I don't understand what they're doing very frequently. However, Javonte Williams has 4 games of 10-plus carries and 3 in the past 4 weeks. It seems like he's getting more of the focal point. Jaleel McLaughlin's still around, whatever else. But you're going against the Panthers, who, again, are awful. And I would assume are going to be awful once again. They've allowed the most fantasy points to opposing running backs, and Javonte Williams becomes a low-end running back 2 this week for me, a flex play, if you will. I would take him over Tank Bigsby if you're kind of considering that if ETN's out. It's that vein of running backs that Javonte Williams clearly is over in my mind. He becomes a flex play over a lot of receivers as well, too. So consider Javonte Williams against this bad Panthers team. Finally, on the love list, and I try to always target at least one guy that's probably widely available. Jauan Jennings was the jewel of the waiver wire period for this week. Of course, makes sense. Brandon Ayuk done for the season for the Niners. I assume Deebo Samuel won't play as of this recording. His pneumonia. It's not an easy illness to get over. So Jauan Jennings, if healthy, obvious number 1 receiver for the Niners offense that wants to pass. Makes complete sense. He was also rostered in 30% of leagues. We did the show on Tuesday. Jake Tarsky and I go over all your waiver wire pickups anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please check that one out. So we talked about the merits of Jauan Jennings. I think Cedrick Tillman is going underreported in this mess of a litany of receiver options. Obviously, the Niners were out there. All the Buccaneers guys I talked about with Baker Mayfield are valuable pickups in deeper formats. Cedrick Tillman had 12 targets when Jameis Winston and I guess Dorian Thompson-Robinson took over as the quarterback for the Browns. The offense is going to look different. We just saw Joe Flacco last year have a fantasy starting worthy second half of the season alone and made Amari Cooper's, David Njoku's of the world have some relevance. If you're the Browns, and they seem to understand where they are after trading Amari Cooper away last week, are wanting to test out your prospects, see if you have any cheap assets as you're effectively capped out the next 2 years, I think Cedrick Tillman makes a lot of sense and probably plays as much, if not more, than Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy for the weeks to come. We know Jameis Winston is going to elevate the passing floor because by default, Watson was at the lowest point. But I still think this offense is going to revolve more around the pass than you might assume. Nick Chubb coming off the nasty knee injury from last season. He's going to be more involved in the offense. Naheem Hines will have some factor. Jerome Ford's going to be there. They have 4 different running backs to do things, but Jameis Winston is going to be able to pass. Now he has to have the play. Now he has to have the play action in order to make a read. That's the difference of Joe Flacco. But I really think this Kevin Stefanski offense is going to involve the passing more, and it's going to see Jerry Jeudy and to a lesser extent Cedrick Tillman, who is widely available out there. Tillman is in the realistic flex range of Alexander Mattison or Raheem Mostert, even Michael Wilson in your deeper formats. And this is the week to get him before he gets another 8 targets, and everywhere is talking about him next week. Get aggressive, get Cedrick Tillman, have the Browns offense. Words I never would have said up until this week.